We can.
Okay. Welcome to the board of Collbran. Just call order. That's for pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Everything should be on and going. Yeah, everything should be on and going.
Okay.
Okay, roll call.
All righty, Trustee Zen. Present. Trustee Evans.
Here.
Trustee Winkleblack. Trustee Price. And Mayor Wilcox.
Here.
Let the record show all are present.
Here.
Perfect.
Any edits or deletions to the agenda? No?
Nope.
No changes? Person's not on the agenda. Is everybody signed the roll?
Brad put forward so that he knows who wants to talk. I think there's
No.
so first.
Mark, take the turns on roll call. That's
because I want you guys to not approve the board meeting last session because it's not legit. It's not legit for three reasons. One, it wasn't posted. It was normally posted. Two, well, I think 4 reasons. Two, I tried to get on about 20 minutes late. I wasn't let on the session. Three, there's a question about the legality of this board signature. And fourth, because there was actually no RFP ever put out for the bid to build the last mile, or not the last, the acres to the institutions. And I've got a copy of the bid there. It shows it wasn't out. There wasn't on, and I can't put out state or federal bid without paying a fee. I don't know about the local.
we'll have to check in.
Okay, well, I don't want you guys to move forward with accepting that until this is approved. So I want to be able to bid, and I told Melanie that 1,000 times last year that I wanted to bid on part of this project, and I never received a copy of an RFP. I never got a feedback, sent an email, and I can provide documentation that to you. And I did send you guys a lot of documentation emails.
Bill, you'd like to speak?
Sure.
I'm Bill Bethel. I live at 213 Plateau Avenue, working clinic. Got a little bit to say today. I want to talk about safety. I want to talk about privacy. The safety issue would be, I see on the agenda, I didn't read the minutes, but I didn't go any folks today to look at all the agenda. But talking about getting police out here, you know, I live on a corner, sit outside, watch the internet all the time. You know, what I want to watch, I'm watching people ripping up and down my street. We've got kids. I've got kids across the street here. I got kids over there. They're playing basketball. I'm not digging it. Something needs to happen. Something now. I don't want to see one of these little kids get hurt. And that's what it's about. It's not me. I'm sitting on the court, you know, like the old guy. So, No, I just want to see something happen. Hopefully we're talking about it tonight. And that's pretty much all I got to say about that.
We are talking.
That's all. The other little thing I have is the last meeting we were at, 2 weeks ago? We had somebody in the back the whole time. Don't know who it was, why they were there. All I know is somebody was in the back. And if they're gonna be don't hide in the back. As far as I know, which I know a little, but I don't know a lot, so I'm not saying too much about it. But there goes the security aspect of somebody's in the back. Do they have records open? Is their computers open? Is there my records out, your records out? What's up? What's going on with that? The last time when I was here a long time ago, the cops would go back there, Adam or Jeff or Brian. And that's a good job. That's cool hanging out, whatever, watching everything. But just some random whoever, I'm not taking rather mad about it. And I think that's right, like everybody else does, because I have to be out here in front of all of you all. And that camera, everybody does.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know who you're talking about. No. The only time I can recall someone being behind the counter was the night that everybody was sworn in. And so that would have been the April 9th meeting. And we had one person back there who was an employee of the town, and employees can be here.
I think you were talking about me.
Very well. You were.
Okay. Myself.
I don't think anybody was back there. I don't recall.
The
Yeah.
21st.
I kept hearing stuff going on back there. I need to get right. And I'm hearing so much. So, I don't know, check the camera out.
There is not somebody behind there. There were a lot of people standing up back here, and
Right.
so you could have been hearing that, but there was nobody behind.
Well, I guess for future we'll just make sure. I can't remember if there was a pull down above the counter ever in this world. So how that is. And the next on the list.
Yeah.
You can have 3 minutes, Mark. Yes, we started tonight, but you can stay for your 3 minutes.
No, that's all I want to bring up.
Teresa, if you want to sign.
Yeah.
Speak up. Thank you. I guess that's the same with your thoughts. With the football.
The only concern I have is the way we got the issue and concern I have is not the OSHA issue, concern to avoid double paying or double paying in that situation. We could have lost 2 people that day. I did speak to the technicians that morning, which was Rory and is
Mike.
it Mike? And anyway, I did try to get a hold of that revive extension course. I would like to get a copy of those forms because I am concerned about the health issue there.
But I think,
it could have been worse. I did call 911, all of that because of the methane gas leak and all that. But I just wanted to know when the minutes will be ready so I can look at the minutes and read the minutes. I would appreciate it. Thank you.
The minutes for what meeting? The town board meeting?
Yes, when I got up and talked about the OSHA issue, because it was a loud issue. And I know it's great.
Well, those minutes are going to be probably approved tonight.
Need to take a look. I will appreciate it. And if they are approved tonight, can I just make a comment? If we're here to make this talk to the board here, I'm here to talk to the board. I don't want to be interrupted. Because when I'm interrupted, my train of thought, I lose my train of thought. So I would appreciate it.
yeah,
Thank you very much.
Oh, well.
Me too.
being more than, no more than 3 minutes.
Oh.
We can move on. Number 6, okay, well, maybe have this upside down, maybe a little closer here. I apologize, I didn't go through all of the 3 minutes and identify yourself and address and the comments to be courteous, but I think we've got all that covered, so we'll move on to the approval of amendment minutes from April 9th, 16th, and 2024 board meeting.
I move we approve the minutes from the April 9th and 16th, 2024 board meetings as corrected.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. So, any discussion?
I'm so sorry. It's a lot of.
Yeah. Right, that's been corrected, you know, and I've done several, so, and the only actual date that we could probably look at is the day of the service, you know, the commercial service. It came up and cleaned out too, because it was a few months ago, when it was just,
Within the last year.
yeah, within the last several months. That's the only thing that I see, and it's not to correct anybody, but that everything looks pretty good. So,
Melanie, do you remember when that actually happened?
I don't off the top of my head now.
No, concern, but I was worried you would have been. I'm more than
well, yeah, people probably, not everybody knows takes to, or help take care of his mother. She's on hospice and she goes back and turnover, mood, and his oxygen 24/7. So, if there's no reason we take him down sometimes, we could go and visit with him. Anyway, so. There's a motion and a second. No more discussion? Vote?
Trustee Zen,
Yes.
trustee Evans,
Yes.
trustee Winkleblack,
Yes.
Trustee Price? No. Mayor Wilcox?
No.
Motion passed.
Okay, minutes, approval of minutes for May 7th. And 21st. 24 board.
I move that we approve the minutes for May 7th and May 21st, 2024 board meeting.
Okay. Any discussion on those minutes? Hearing none. Roll call or vote,
So we don't need a second.
Second.
or
Oh, I
second,
second the motion. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right, trustee Zent,
Yes.
trustee Evans,
Yes.
trustee Winkleblack,
Yes.
trustee Price? No. Mayor Wilcox? Motion passed.
Okay, number 8, approval of expenditures for May 24th. Any discussion on that?
I move we approve the expenditures for May 2024. I'll second.
Okay, just a second here. Just have one question to be clarified. Just here real quick. On the bottom, I see a Western Float Consulting, and then the total is we have $1,839 for the month, so the total so far is about 1,000 good mile project for the year.
So I can offer that. That was an invoice for the work he did on the special use permit at Gandy Park.
But that's all inclusive in the $100,000.
That's the
Oh,
total.
that's all of the expenditures,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I apologize. That's the 1,800.
Yes. Gandy Park.
Didn't used to try to focus a little bit, but anyway, okay. Any further discussion? No? We have a vote?
All righty, trustee Zent,
Yes.
trustee Evans,
Yes.
trustee Winkleblack,
Yes.
trustee Price? Yes. Mayor Wilcox?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Approval of street closure permits for Plateau Valley Heritage Days.
So there are 3 separate ones. One being the parade, and then the running of the horses, and the street dance for July 3rd. They're they don't change, but I can certainly speak to them if you want me to.
It's been the same for the last years and years. I think.
It's been years.
So going back behind job for the parade, that backup.
Yes.
That seems to work for
Start,
that.
Okay. Any other concerns? Hearing none, call for a vote.
I move that we approve the street closures for the parade on July 4th, the running of the horses on July 3rd and 4th, and the street dance on July 3rd at the times and the places indicated in the request.
I'll second that. Hearing a motion and a second, any further discussion? No?
All right. Yes, sir. Trustee Zent,
Yes.
trustee Evans,
Yes.
trustee Winkleblack,
Yes.
trustee Price? Yes. Mayor Wilcox?
Yes.
Motion passed. Thank you.
Number 10, modification of premise for Collbran Cafe for Plateau Valley Heritage Day.
Just requesting, for the beer garden on July 3rd.
Can you state your name, please?
Oh, over each door.
Thank you.
We have an ID at the door, come in, we can go out and be able to have drinks and listen to the music outside.
Is there any security this year since we don't have a town? So,
We will have to do that.
Okay.
And we have, like, my husband does like watch through and just like takes their watches, does figure out what we can out in there. Just watching over kind of the journey and stuff.
Good job.
okay,
Good.
Have we had any issues in the past with this?
We have not. I believe both there. At Aiden, when the roads closed, we start building, we have it fenced off with the alcohol that we have over the fence, the tall fence line, and then we're out when the music ends by 11:59. It goes so that we are done before the actual 4th of July.
okay. If there's no further discussion, I'm open for a motion.
I move that we accept the modification of premises for Collbran Cafe for the Plateau Valley Heritage Days as presented.
I second the motion.
No further discussion?
All right, roll call vote. Trustee Dent,
Yes.
Trustee Evans,
Yes.
Trustee Winkleblack,
Yes.
Trustee Price, yes, Mayor Wilcox.
Yes,
Motion passed. Thank you.
okay. Item number 11, Optimus Communications, Mark McGowan.
Good evening, I'm Mark McGowan, Trustees Communications. I've been here 20 years, running every single one, including your kid. Back when I was working at Brainstorm, so I've been in every one of your homes and businesses. You know, and I came to Collbran because I thought it was, you know, a great opportunity to work with. You know, there's been a lot of struggles, changes. I think if I told most of them, I actually sold my business to Brainstorm about 14 years ago, 13 years ago, because my wife died, Carly, Chavy, and she's like my partner in doing a lot of this with me, so I didn't want to keep doing it. I worked with Brainstorm, worked out, worked out, and I came back, here I am. And since that time, it's been an absolute struggle to work with this community. And I told you guys last meeting that I'm not going to be doing this a whole lot longer. You know, something's got to change, and I'm actually pulling out all of it because you know we need to work this together. Okay. Nobody else can do this because I'm losing money on it. And I want to go money just to go. So I have here my bill because I get my internet management. I pay $1,200 a month to go from Grand Junction to Denver. I then pay Mammoth $520 for internet. I also pay Denver Gas and Electric Company $225 a month, plus I pay this $100 a month for that's for rack space, and $100 a month for electricity. Still high electricity, but I don't know the on the other hand, I have the pricing here, the email from Collbran Region 10 for 10 gigs. These 10 gigs are still Collbran. And this is going to go to 7th Street and Grand Junction for $2,600, and that's after your agreement. That's, more than double. By up here. On top of that, I want to end it from be $3,000. And I thought this was more negotiable. Apparently not. The co-location space is $450 a month plus electricity cost, double what. And then I got a letter from you guys, a lawyer, stating that we need to discuss the tower. And at that time, I pulled him back. I said, the staff, to my understanding, the staff of Collbran does not currently have authority or support the board to file a lawsuit against you. Now, you are the mayor of the state of Arizona, or 15-foot radius offset. I haven't found it before myself. I found it before. Their attorney says they can't find it. So what I'm going to ask you guys, let me explain this to the world. Well, let me dig into, if I just sign off on what Region 10 wants. This is just for the, to get from here to Great Jobs. No internet. $2,600 a month. That's $31,200 a year. There is a potential, absolute potential, including vacant lots, of 180 locations in Collbran. I might be a little wrong. But that's $14.45. Yeah, all of those are done per month, per site. So how am I supposed to even break even? But I only have about 60 customers. Really, why am I here? 60 customers. I can go to the Grand Junction to pick that up money. So there's no way I can do business with the way things are set up. The tension was the government gave you guys money to build this damn thing for free. You don't have to pay for it. And then to help provide this to your community. I don't live here. You guys like to remind me because I don't vote. Well, I sure as hell own property here. But why is it that it's okay to start this quite what a commercial company is charging? You know what's going to happen? Because I'm not going to be able to afford it. I'll tell you, Lee can't afford that because I make more money to get my bill. The southern companies may be able to afford it. Well, I hear they're bringing higher speed in on AT&T and T-Mobile already has it. They've already built their wireless network. They're not going to use your fiber network either. This is for a fact. So you guys just price yourself out of the market. And then, as you heard last session when I wasn't here because I watched the video, that you guys are proposing to build out to every anchor institution. First off, I already have fiber running all the way down here. Your anchor institution included the library, one of my customers already. Your anchor institution covers the school, one of my customers. So what, I can take away from my customers too? And there's no room up there. I told you that. There's no room up there for the cable illegally. So you can't do that. You guys, either this one or last one, you request permission to have Melanie or maybe contract, a holder of the power for a full test agreement. I don't see why you guys are getting silly, but that's my job. And I think it's a huge community that there's so many people, you got so many people that extra staff that run these different parts. So what I'm proposing, this will be one of the last times I say this. I'm proposing that we all work together. The intentions of this grant were to work with public-private partnership. There's been no private in this thing whatsoever to begin. And I don't even know why I'm over here talking. I feel like I just ignore or stab in the back, and I'm tired of it. And Gary, you probably don't remember why we were coming to your house, and you treated me cordially. I think I treated you the same way. I know I've treated everybody else here. I know I came into Trustee Evans' house and worked on their cable system a couple of times with problems. Led with big technology. But, and then I worked with Trustee Ben over at the Mesa store a long time ago. Spent everything working down that basement. Well, doesn't do without a floor, the church floor. So I'm requesting that the next work session, work session, the 19th or whatever it is, that we actually have a dedicated to the middle mile system. We have Corey Brindle come out here. We have the director of Region 10 come out here. I think our county commissioner Cody, or I forget his last name, should be invited. And I think we should have over the auditorium, and I'll invite all the people I know. And let's pass this out and make it work. I propose that either you guys get me to run it, or you get Daniel to run it, you get somebody to run it, because it's not going to work the way you're doing it. You know, I sat through this and Kim left too. There's been so many grants given to the phone companies and to the state. We had Eagle Man for $100 million. You know what you got for now? You got data owns it. And that's not to say it's bad, but it's just not right. You know, that we can't do anything with it. There's fiber laying around. People don't know what's there. That's probably what this union does, to be abandoned. Any comments you got there? No? Okay. So that's my proposal. That we do that. Whether you guys decide to do that, you know, it's up to you. But you know, I'm not going to be doing this. Either we figure it out, or I'm going to do something different. I don't mean something.
The one thing, we're in the middle of the project of the remodel of the auditorium, so I don't know if it's safe to.
Yeah, we can't be in there.
We you know, other short tour, I think pretty much everybody but employees have not been allowed in there. Doors locked.
Okay. Other suggestion.
Yeah.
I mean, we're kind of, I've seen this from way over point. People saying it in the dark.
We you know, we could do, I mean, we can sure invite them to a meeting here.
We can shove this back out, get more those churches.
If the, you know, if the board book uses.
So, yeah.
But I think that would be good. Me personally, I think that would be good to have Corey. And even if he could be here so that everybody's on the same page and the community understands.
Can you go over those prices again, real quick, or what they want to charge you a month to hook up to the?
I've actually sent all of you an email. I have all this stuff in. From Region 10, 10 gigabit point-to-point transport, so that's no internet. 3-year agreement, $2,600 a month. So rent rack space in our CNL, but the Danny Park, $450 a month plus electrical costs. Already, why am I going to pay for this? I have a building 10 feet away from it. Prices that I'm currently paying. Well, man, I was on the back page. I didn't put that on. I will put that on. $1,200 a month to go from Merrill Lynch to Denver 910 telecom. Then I pay $520 a month for internet, not $3,000. $520 a month. Dude, Corey's marking it up for something to do on it too. Yeah, and I think I told you guys last time. His prices are what I was selling Eagleman for 10 years ago, 11 years ago. And they're like, internet prices stay the same. Well, mine have, but my data's not. That's why I allow you. I used to supply everybody 10 to 15 megas. Now I'm starting, giving everybody 25, 300. This fiber system, I'm putting 300 on. Otherwise, I get to them. And one more comment: I did lose a customer due to the outage from the collecting cut that wasn't, my fault, like, no mind, because I'd forgotten to keep running that way. So, that's up to that one, that's mine.
Oh, you mean in the alley?
Down here in the alley.
Okay.
So, yeah, and we spend a lot of time, a lot of money, we got, if I got 10, 12 mandates. In it. We still have one cable, a temporary cable we put up, take that down. Got some work into it. You know, I want to be a part of this community. I have been. And I don't want to start a camp. There's a marked camp and there's enough.
No,
No, I'm not. Nobody would.
Mark, I have a quick question for you. When was the last time you raised your prices? Because I've been reducing yours.
I've never had. The only thing I've done is I kind of buy the lowest package. I used to have a 49.5, and because I'm an old network guy, I said, I really need you guys to have my number. Because I understand this. Plus I can text it. In fact, we had somebody messing up some of the people down there, but somebody put the routing backwards. So that's one of the things I can do that by, me trying to buy. But anyway, so $49.95, we charge $7 a route. We don't offer that. So instead of $56.95, it starts at $57. All the other packages are done. The rates have, like I said, that $57 a month package used to be 10 or 12. Now it's 25. The next one up is $77 a month. It's 50 megabit down, 5 megabit up, and then $107 package that is 75 down, 10 mega, because a lot of people do the upload. And the upload is harder for us to provide. It's a smaller pipe. I think if we thought on the documentation, the cable system, the way it's configured right now, would be 800 down, but it only does 160 up. But that's the trade-off. With the fiber optics, too, we have a trade-off there. And we actually started offering 2 packages that are free on the cable system here in Grand Junction. We're offering 300 meg for $57. And then we have, if we can't get to you with really expensive radios, start each one 300 meg down, 100 meg up for $157. So that's the newest thing I've had done, but I haven't ever raised my prices.
I just feel like you bring a really good service at a fair price to the people of the South, and we need to work with you. It's just my opinion. But
Well, I'm gonna let you all have a vote. I'm gonna listen to all of you. I'm listening to Melanie, see if we can figure out if this works.
the other thing the community needs to understand, and I know this is old, but when we went from party lines to private lines, and we spent millions of dollars US West between US West and PTI with grants and such, we put a switch in at Mesa, and then this one piggybacks off of the switch in Mesa and the radio equipment from Mesa down. I argued with engineering at the time because when I first moved up here, oh no, we're not selling in Mesa and Collbran. And then that's why they didn't offer at the time voicemail and all the things you got in transaction. But once they spent those millions of dollars, it took almost 2 years to work the bugs out of the switches and get things right. What we call the OE's office equipment, which would be, in today's world, the actives, addresses to each modem and whatnot for Mark. And it hasn't been just Mark's effort. Kyrock Cable, I don't know if you remember any of those that remember Kyrock. Kai has come over and helped balance the system, help convert it, so that it'll pass bidirectionally and digital over Marquez. But fiber, and his goal is to eventually abandon the old cable altogether, put fiber to each home. But there is a huge amount of effort and expense to that. So I guess like you said, that I have never met Elite, and I have nothing against him. I just have never met him. I called him, I had a return call, seen his trucker this winter at all. So, that's none of my business, but at any rate.
My question would be, you mentioned that the town would be running the system, and my understanding, correct me, Mel, if I'm wrong, we're not running, we're not gonna be billing or doing any of that, it's just, we were the hub to get the funds to get the project going.
Correct.
And then those feeding the hubs is just laying, again, the groundwork for the providers then to provide for those hubs.
Correct.
Is that the way I understand it?
Our job was to build the middle mile, the CNL, and to get to the anchor institution. That's in the grant. That's what we've been told to do. That's what we're doing. Region 10 is the operator.
And the only thing that we're doing by taking the fiber to the anchor institution is just putting the infrastructure there. We are not dictating who is providing the internet.
Correct. Any one of the internet service providers will be able to serve those customers. Again, we are not internet service providers and will not be doing that. Any one of the internet service providers who have them as a client will be able to do that. Correct.
Well, the administration,
My question is, the region can
well, the reason she says that is because Provo spent $30 million on that system and then sold it for $1 to Google after it was all done. And there's 14 small towns just like Collbran, and actually 16, pardon me, in Utah that have been through this same process. And they, like Mark said, they're dying. One of them's given up altogether, but the others are trying to hang on. Fortunately for some of those people, say in Park City, they'll have a gigabyte just to the elevator because they have that kind of money. But I guess what I'm feeling from Mark is the feasibility study to make it viable. And I don't know, I'd like to ask Bill if he knows anything, because he maintains the clinic, about the clinic, whether they're going to stay with EagleNet, or Starlink.
That all depends on when the system comes up, how good it's doing. I'm not, all I know is Starlink works great for us right now. So I really don't know. That would be up to the administrator to make that call.
Is Mesa also starting?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
What is the cost for all the things?
Because once you have fiber from the state up here, you don't have all the radio. Like he's had to go out many times on top of Palisade Points in the Caterpillar, and broken down. I've been out there myself and had to stay overnight in a blizzard, just doing a locate for AT&T tower. So when you have a solid connection point, fiber point to here, it's much easier to, I guess, maintain or get to those locations to get the customers. But the feasibility of the pricing, like Starlink's $120 a month plus $600 for the equipment. And there's several people that have made comments on the community page that now that they've got it, and that's most people in the larger cities, they're used to paying that $120 or $150 a month, you know, and not getting the kind of speeds that we're talking about. No, well, they did in a fashion from Mesa to Collbran in the central office, and that's the only light that's lit, is from that office to that office.
Yeah, there is a meeting.
It's from Mesa. There's a tower you'll see with a dish, microwave, that goes to Palisade Point. We had a helicopter crew that, unfortunately, and that's what other people need to realize with all the microwave. Gail White was probably most admired and technical, I guess, network engineer when it came to the radios and the helicopters. And when I broke in with the phone company, he was a hell of a support for me on the outside. I understood the electronics, but I could call her, or I could call even the second level manager. And he would talk me through what they call a split pair, and people are hearing each other on both their conversations, but they can't talk to themselves. So there's a learning process with all of it. And a lot of them, even Kai Nelson, end up with either Alzheimer's or Parkinson's. Yes, a lot of them end up with Parkinson's. Kai was in the Navy, and so he was exposed in the Navy. But
Well, if I may, I'll do it real quick, 2 minutes. You know about how all this happened. When I started 20 years ago, I could never be consumer, right? That's it. And, you know, just okay, figure out. Okay. Well, I think the problem is yeah, from they're like three. Well, then we built it with what we had. We didn't have really, you know, high-tech radios that last a lot of the really stable or really $50 to $100,000. And we built other ones for about $2. That correction $1,000 is in it for a pair of shipping. So that's big. So anyway, we built this, you know, and I'm based on the reason I base so much was because the one thing that's what about the database is solar. So it actually worked pretty good. So we had a really dark year about 2 years ago, and the battery support. Well, then like last week, the forecast wrong. You know, demand increases, technology increases. But we had these to recruit people out. I actually put in about 40,000 summer for the electricity on it. Try not to do it. 300. The use of electricity. Well, it's still even forward. But you know, so that's the reason. But one of the reasons I appreciate how you did this, and everybody else in the middle was that we do need a secondary route. I lost the business of the campground over there in the basin. When I took them up years ago, they had PSL. I said, do not disconnect this 50 miles. we had the major outage, then they didn't have this, they can't do stuff. In fact, Trish called us with a doctor. There's no. I told that people, everybody needs a backup. You know, you need a backup sometimes. You might have one. You got to start making it. You know, everybody should. It's not my fault. I'm not. You know, the wind beats the heck out of everything. So that's why it's nice, but it's not going. We had the internet go down 4 years ago for Verizon, T-Mobile, half of Spectrum, and I forget who else, because there's a fiber transceiver that was messed up in the range option or something. This is where the fiber plugged into the and all these thousands of people. It's my fault. We've done these. So that's nice. There's a fiber going. We'll still have. So the fiber PRC approval that. But like, yeah, I'll be there about his backfill, guarantee it. But I bought this, I had 4 or 5 collect cuts 4 times. I guarantee it's going to be I didn't even think of my time.
Oh.
No, and that's fine. Just right up the street. This is the 300 pair cable that runs across our building, right? Just up the street on High Street. Just some kids messing around, but they should have burned off the line. Well, guess what? There was a pinhole you couldn't see, but fortunately you got the right test equipment, you located, and the inside of it was pretty much, you know, but that took out everything. I won't say the entire town, but most of the town, plus everything, because it circled up and goes up to bottom, all of the carrier, everything in direction. So anything, part of what I'm getting at is you never know what hunter is going to be out there on those lines and accidentally shoot the fiber that's hanging in the air. Now, we don't have a lot of fiber, fortunately, but those things will occur, and there's always an upgrade to the electronics. No matter what we do, just like these phones, it's part of it, and I suppose that'll be part of future grant writing.
Well, Tyler's going to bring in the electrical cable. It's brand new. We just installed it last summer. Brand new. I didn't even set it. The Grand Line Power ground we just paid for it. And it's, I'll show it to you guys. It's all corroded. It had one little bitty hole in it. Somehow when they backfilled it or when they manufactured it, and it was right. Unfortunately, I'm not responsible for it anymore. I'm Grand Line Power. They're out there, but then they had my system down for about 5 hours, and then they found another spot on the same cable. So they actually went and fixed that one in 2 different places. But I'll pass that on if you guys see it. Any other questions? Appreciate your time. Any questions?
Did you get as far as the fiber? There is fiber going from this central office clear out to, is it Buzzards Creek or?
Yeah, it's a little bit about 6 miles past the Vega turnoff.
The Vega turnoff, and not one fiber is lit, even though public funds were to through Lumen at this point. They won't let anybody on it, just like he installed Eagle. That's supposed to be a cooperative unit there, but once Brainstorm got on it, nobody else was allowed on it.
So that's why I'm not used to it. That's why I'm used to it. Second time. And you can't. I was telling you. You can't tell me I can't do it. I was telling you. But no.
I would say, Mr. Mayor, if we have this work session, I do believe that we should invite all of the other potential ISP
Absolutely.
to that.
I said the same thing. Yeah. Everybody that wants to be a provider up here needs to be here and be on the same page. I mean, it's their choice if they come, but
Right.
we need to invite them all.
I can't guarantee that I will get Corey, Michelle, and Cody here. Certainly try.
Can we do? Can they do? Anyone?
Probably.
That
I
way?
mean, I don't run their schedule.
Yeah,
They don't.
no guarantees, but.
No.
Put the offer out. And we probably should have the work session when Region 10 is available. Since that's the big concern. Okay. Thank you, Mark.
So we will get my preaching. I guess communicate back to you, Mark. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Right.
No, and I can appreciate what he said about the electricity because behind Teller Arms, I had to fix some telephone. And when we got down there, the exact same thing in the electricity for that whole complex. I'd actually started to turn the dirt to glass, basically melt it along with the phone lines. So those phone lines were getting hot right to the apartment. So it's not it's a desperate job. So anyway, thank you, Mark. You know, you gotta do what you can and get back with the provider. Set up a work session. 12, review the request for proposals for the town attorney, approval for town staff to issue the proposal.
Yes. So as discussed before, the town attorney that we currently have is not going to remain our attorney. So we need to go out for a request for proposal to find the town and attorney to represent the board and the town. And so with Jim New, with our current attorney's help, we put together this request for proposal.
Who all is it going out? Is it going out to the CML and Big Sentinel and our website?
It will be put out there that we are going out for proposal. Put out where? On our website, but I can put it through CML. It'll go, but everybody will go through BidNet.
Right.
But yes.
They can see it on the other sites, but they can.
Yep, it'll link over. Can we put it in the daily channel? We can. Is that, do you want the entire request in there? I don't think I can put the entire request. Summarize it and say that.
Summarize it since it still goes to Montrose and up and down Glenwood Spring. I have a buddy out in Loma that he's still old school. You think he's 90 years old, gets the paper every day and keeps. So that would be good.
Okay.
13, approval for the resolution, or do we need a
vote on that?
discussion?
No, we
No, we
do. Yes.
I don't think we need to. I think we can just say yes or no. We approve of what she did. I don't know that we need a motion.
I
But
need,
does anybody have any questions about it?
and I need approval to put it out.
Okay.
To issue the RFP.
Well, I think we probably ought to cover the basis with a motion and a second, if we need any further from the board.
I motion we approve the request for proposal for town attorney approval for staff to issue the proposal.
Second.
Go ahead.
You go.
Any further discussion or? All right. Hearing none. Vote.
Trustee Zent,
Yes.
trustee Evans,
Yes.
trustee Winkleblack,
Yes.
trustee Price, Mayor Wilcox.
Yes.
Motion passed. Thank you.
Okay. 13, approval for resolution number 5, series 2024, a resolution of the Board of Trustees of the Town of Collbran, Colorado, appointing the municipal judge, town clerk, and town treasurer.
I move through resolution number 5, series 2024, that we appoint Gregory Mueller Esquire as municipal court judge for the town of Collbran, Melanie Matarazzo as the town clerk, and Melanie Matarazzo as the town treasurer.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none.
Right. Trustee Zent,
Yes.
trustee Evans,
Yes.
trustee Winkleblack,
Yes.
trustee Price, no, Mayor Wilcox. Motion passed. Thank you.
Now for the law enforcement that everybody's been waiting for update. Turn that over.
I can turn it over to Tilda, who was the representative from the board that is present.
Last Thursday evening, I met with Melanie and Justin Wareham and Dave Arcady for the law enforcement working group. Justin and Dave were the two consultants that did the audit. We discussed the feasibility of hiring a town marshal. And Melanie had contacted the two most qualified applicants, and they had both asked questions regarding the size of the department and other issues about it and other information about the department. They both declined to continue the application process after finding out that they would be the full law enforcement until we hired a deputy, and weighing the other factors of the information that Melanie gave them. We have never taken down the announcement, and we have not received any other applicants since it's gone up. Based on the information that Justin and Dave gave us, the cost to the town to fund an adequate marshal's office, including adequate staff and all required services, could potentially double what the town has currently budgeted for this. And if we continue to try to hire a town marshal, the process will take at least 6 months to complete recruitment, background checks, post-certification if required, interviews, physical fitness, medical, psychological exams. We would have to rely on the county sheriff's office for direction with this process.
You had to be better.
Right. So moving on, we then discussed the Mesa County Sheriff's Office proposal. This proposal would include 2 full-time deputies that would provide coverage to the town 7 days a week during their shifts. It's not going to be 24. The 2 full-time dedicated deputies would not be 24/7. We would have 24/7 coverage in that the rural area deputies would cover at the times when these other 2 full-time deputies would not be here.
Because we're in Mesa County.
Right. And that's the way it has been with when we had a town marshal also.
Right.
Services would include but not be limited to general traffic enforcement, business checks, development and maintenance of crime prevention programs as requested, town event command services, investigation of criminal offenses, narcotics investigations, court appearances, VIN check, administrative and records management services, and school resource offices. So basically, the full resources of the sheriff's office would be available to the town for the current proposal is for $350,000 a year. They said it will go up each year. It's something that we probably should try to negotiate with them. And at the very least, maybe negotiate a maximum percentage of increase per year. Right now, the proposed cost is about the same as what the town has budgeted to have our own department at this time. We talked about if we needed 2 full-time deputies and how that scheduling might work. And it's probably to get the full 7-day-a-week scheduling, we probably would need 2 full-time deputies based on how they schedule people. But it's something to discuss. We would need to decide how much of our criminal municipal code we would want them to enforce and what they would be willing to do. And basically, we need to decide, and we can decide this after we enter into an agreement, what infractions would be written to our municipal court and what would be written to the district court. Most of the critical items that I have heard about that people are upset with are covered by county and state criminal codes and other county and state codes. So they would still be written within the town, whether or not we have them, come to municipal court or to the district court. But this is something that we can just discuss later after we enter into an agreement with the sheriff's office. Something that we need to know or need to kind of realize that if the town enters into an agreement with the sheriff's office, law enforcement visibility will likely be higher than if we have our own department, because our office would probably become, if not a formal sheriff's substation, a mini sheriff's substation, and the RAD officers that are patrolling outside of Collbran would probably stop in here to discuss cases that they're working with the deputies that are assigned here, or just to kind of, have a potty break or whatever. So we will likely see more law enforcement in the area. The work group recommends that the board direct the town administrator to continue negotiations with Mesa County Sheriff's Office to finalize an agreement to provide law enforcement services to the town of Collbran. We anticipate that this agreement can be reached in the very near future. We are working on to schedule a visit with the sheriff's office and our board.
I have not heard that.
Okay.
Okay, now, in the past, there were some negotiations and there was an office that we spent some time down at the school. Was any of that discussed or can that be?
I can add it into
I think that
SRO. Yeah. They have indicated that they, to the extent that whoever is assigned here has school resource officer training for certification, that they would provide that service also.
so maybe the negotiations with the school can help us out.
we can go to the school.
We can
I think it has been a discussion with them with the new bill too, because the SRO, the sheriffs were there this last school year and prior when our marshals were not able to be there. So they've kind of taken up that wing, and I think it's part of, yeah. So I think that'll be a good marriage as they get closer to completing. And I think my understanding is they are still going to provide that during the build while the school is still operational this next year. So I think that will be a good connecting point as we get closer to our contract.
And the plan is that the 2 full-time deputies this would be their assignment. It would not necessarily be a rolling, having different people all the time.
Yeah, that's,
The only time when, now they did say, one of the terms in the proposal was nominal, and basically what that is meaning is that if one of those deputies calls in sick or has court appearance or something, they're not going to have someone else come in and fill in for that deputy while they are out. So then we will be covered, by the RAD officer, but not necessarily, physically in the town during that time.
well, I, for one, if we do this with Mesa County, a couple of dedicated officers, I would like to put some type of meeting together so that the community can meet those officers and know who they are.
Meet and greet.
Yeah, a meet and greet.
We can request
We can
that.
request
I
it,
do
yeah.
know that at this point in time, their supervisor and the sheriff are who are thinking about coming in. So
That would be good.
that will be, so they won't be here permanently. It'll be on rotation, probably every 3 to 4 months, I
Okay.
believe. The officers will change.
No, yeah.
The 2 officers.
But during those, that rotation, it's going to be those 2 officers.
Oh, yeah, for
Yeah.
4 or 6 months or whatever it is,
Okay, maybe we can,
which I think fresh eyes.
I don't know, post a picture of the officers that are going to be here or something, if they have to come to the town hall. Have their cards here or something.
Excuse me, cards. No. It depends on what we work out, what the schedule will be that we work out with the sheriff's office. But at the time when, if we decide that we want them from, say, noon to noon, or what, noon to midnight, maybe that's what we do, or, and that's what their shifts will be. But that at the times when our full-time deputies are not here, will be covered by the RAD officers. So they will drive through here as often as they do or don't now. But they would also be the people, if there was an emergency outside of the normal shift hours, that's who would be responding, as they do now. It is the same amount, it's the same cost as what we have currently budgeted for the marshal and or what we have budgeted in the past for a marshal and a deputy.
So it would cover the car, the vehicles, the insurance, the liability.
$350,000.
You're not talking the way.
No,
No.
Everything included to run it.
and we have since found out, since we've gone through the budget process, that we have sorely under budgeted for a town marshal's office.
And that's what
I would say at least it would be double.
100,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, there has been some interest actually from Salt Lake. I don't know the names, but I did tell, since my brother lives over, actually, his daughter-in-law's dad is part of the police force, but there's been a couple of police officers that said they want to get out of the Salt Lake area because of all the shootings. I went over there a few months back, and in that 1 week, just from road rage, there was 5 murders on the interstate in Salt Lake. And one of them happened 15 minutes before I got there. So
After my discussions with Justin or our discussions with Justin and Dave, I think legally this town cannot afford our own, marshal's office, because I don't think that we can afford a $700,000 or $800,000.
You're probably
Department.
correct, but
And the
it's
liability.
still possible. Maybe they want to come on with Mesa County
Right.
and be better.
Because the liability is an issue too, and when we had our initial talk with the auditors was the insurance and all those that come with it, not only for the town, but the officers themselves. That was a big discussion too, and I think we want to be able to protect whoever we have up here and the town's best interest, so that we get the law enforcement we need, and don't put anyone in any legal or physical danger.
And Mesa can't, the sheriff's office would take care of all necessary training and ongoing training that is required for their officers. They would take care of the insurance, the health benefits and all of that kind of insurance. There is some liability insurance that the town would have to cover, I think we'll have to look at it in the contract more, but it's not the same as when we had our own department.
Right.
So will they be able to patrol the highway?
I think it's Mesa County, so I think they would be required, because it is part of the county.
Was that discussed?
That would be one of the things that we would have to discuss, is what offenses we would want written to municipal court and what offenses we would allow to be written to district court, and whether or not we want to have, speeding tickets within town limits written to municipal court.
And we can bring forward kind of what we have been doing over the last, say, 5 or revenue from court.
If you'd like.
Yeah. Because I would think some of that expense would be covered if somebody patrolled.
And, be aware, a lot more DUI tickets may be written than before. Because they will not let those go.
I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Safety first.
That's right.
We have had, actually, go ahead, Melanie, because we've had discussions with the Beth and with Palisade.
With Quebec and Palisade about we were kind of brainstorming about a joint department, about having one chief from there, and both of them and their administration have decided that's not the best interest for them. They're having trouble hiring too, so to hire additional officers to need to cover up here, they can't get hired what they need.
And they're still on our back. I mean, if something happened, they're on that call down list. So if they got here first before the sheriff's office, that's still how that works. So they are a part of the bigger picture for coverage up here.
Is part of the bigger picture, maybe asking the county commissioners to raise the budget for Mason County Sheriff's Department.
They just did a really large increase for the sheriff's office, and that's one of the reasons that the smaller departments are not able to hire, because they did up their budget and how much they pay.
Well, yeah, and I can understand on bigger metropolitan areas, they're getting to be war zones as far as sanctuary cities and what. So
do schools usually cover the cost of their own resource officer? Actually, I have been doing some research on that, and I can bring that to you.
And the deputies that are part of the RAD program, which our full-time deputies would be, generally have 5 to 10 years of service experience under their belt before they ever get into the RAD program. So we are not going to get green rookies. We are going to get experienced deputies. Many of them are sergeants already.
So if they're working an 8-hour shift and they're losing 2 hours for drive time,
Actually, they work 12.
they work 12.
I don't know what
They
they're,
adjust their schedule.
Yeah.
They don't just work 8-hour shifts, so they do have different, they're very good at doing different schedules for whatever's needed in their area. So we get to help them do the schedule. So if there is a time that we need them here, they can make that happen. And then as they're up here and learning other things that they need to do for investigation stuff, then they can adjust their schedule.
Nice to come. But yes, ma'am.
you would call 911 just like you did to contact the town marshal. And if it's during their shift hours, their response time will be much sooner. We have no guarantee on what it is. It depends on what they're doing at the time they get called. And if they're one of the RAD officers, it depends on where they're at. But generally their response is I think within 30 minutes. Yeah. Which at times when we had a town marshal and he was called after hours, it would take him 30 or more minutes to respond. So, and sometimes the county sheriff was here before he was.
Do what? I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
They seem to respond for the elderly quicker if somebody's disabled quicker.
Well, I think it is too distant, and I know just from, like on the job corps side, when we've needed help, if we get response from the sheriff and they're not available, they will call out to Beck or whoever. They will tell us who is going to respond more quickly. So they're really, at least my experience has been, they're pretty responsive. If they know they can't get there in that window, then they tag it to the next facility that can. Yeah. So that has been our experience with the sheriff's department on the night.
Any other questions or concerns?
I move that we direct the town administrator to continue negotiations with the Mesa County Sheriff's Office to finalize an agreement to provide law enforcement services to the town of Collbran.
I second.
Okay. The only other question I would have in the future, see how this works out. Year, whatever. I guess we're always open to the option of going back to the marshal's office.
Yes, there is
Somebody knows.
clause that we can't get out of the contract.
So Melanie, would it be an annual contract? Is that what we would be looking at? Yes, reviewing it annually.
Okay, we'll have to have a motion second and further discussion. Hearing none, vote.
Trustee Cent,
Yes.
trustee Evans,
Yes.
trustee Winkleblack,
Yes.
trustee Pike. Yes. Mayor Wilcox.
Yes.
Motion passed. Thank you.
Okay, update for the senior shuttle program.
Carla is still on. Yep, there she is.
I am. Hi, everybody. So we did reach out to the program manager of Grand Valley TransDev is the organization that we are a vendor for right now. The question was about the necessity for a CDL, and the information that he provided is, let's see, if a vehicle is over 26,000 pounds or seats more than 15, including the driver, you would need a CDL requirement. And he said he didn't think that the bus we have met either of those requirements. So that short shuttle bus that we have would not meet those requirements. In fact, the driver drives his own personal vehicle. So we don't believe that the CDL requirement is a concern. Just to confirm, he recommended that we confirm valid driver's license, insurance, and registration, which we have. And those were, his primary comments on the issue.
So it's basically covered through the county's transit program. Or the
So,
grant.
yeah, the funding we have had that we will have through the end of June is provided through the Area Agency on Aging. So those are state and federal funds through the Older Americans Act. That is the funding that will no longer be available to the town after July 1st because TransDev was not awarded a contract effective July 1st. And so if the town wants to continue to operate the senior shuttle program, we would need to fund it in its entirety. And the cost of that is about $400 a month.
Now, through the state, I know a few years back, it may have changed, but the state, if the individual senior applied for it, the state would help pay for an Uber or a taxi driver or whatever to take them down. But that's probably a completely different.
I'm not entirely sure, but it may be Medicaid transportation. There is a specialized program for Medicaid transportation. And so that might be what the state will assist with. I know that obviously we all see the Sunshine Taxi up quite frequently. That our particular service is not necessarily just for medical appointments, and it is not necessarily just for individuals who are income levels that would qualify them for Medicaid. So running a Medicaid shuttle is, you basically become a medical provider, and you have to have coding and all of that to submit the reimbursement. So.
I mean, that's something that the individual has to reach for and qualify and do with state. But
That's correct. Yes.
it's just well.
That's just nice.
So maybe as neighbors, we can pass that along to any seniors, people that, like, say Casey that's been around forever is on Medicaid, or if Delbert gets to the part that he can't drive anymore, then they can apply to the state if they can't make the town.
Yeah, and there are people both at the Area Agency on Aging and probably at the county who can assist with income qualifications. Again, ours is more of a convenience maybe for seniors who would otherwise, not have resources to help with shopping, and he certainly does assist with transporting to medical appointments, but it's also shopping and errands and things like that. So.
Okay, I appreciate that. Yeah.
hear that, Carla?
I did not hear any of that. I am so sorry.
Since he is an employee of the town, he's got his own insurance on the car and such, but would the town have any liability, or would it go back to the contract with the transit company? I mean, we're paying him a part-time wage to drag these people down, so what liabilities does the town?
So I'm not an expert on law. I believe primary responsibility is always going to fall with the vehicle and the owner of the vehicle and the operator of the vehicle. And that individual is aware of that exposure that provides them. Mr. Todd is aware of that. In a situation where something would happen, it is entirely possible that the town could get sued. We do report that program under our casualty and liability program. So our insurance is disclosed to our insurance. So presumably we would have coverage for it. And, ultimately that's all negotiated out by underwriters and attorneys. So.
So she's asking if he has the correct insurance to carry passengers. Because he's technically an Uber that's taking paying customers to town.
I don't know about the paid customers. I mean, an easy way around that would be to not charge a fee for that service. We charge a nominal $5 fee, and so that could be an option. It would be just to waive the fee, and then I don't think there'd be any issue of collecting a fee. But if you want to pursue that further, we might need to get, the town attorney involved at the time that we have an attorney in place.
What she said, what she said. Right. So, how whatever.
I am sorry, I'm not getting any of that.
The town probably needs to know what his actual coverage is on the car and the passengers for medical. Say for instance, we had an accident. Everybody was safe, but one young man to the hospital, but there was $500,000 put in the trust fund in the future. So I don't know what we're saying is the town needs to know what liability or what health coverages he would have for his car, or maybe a copy of his insurance policy.
We do have a copy of the insurance policy. And the attorney does know about this service. He's been with us. He helped whenever we started it. So the attorney does know. We can double check.
He's already.
So that covers your concern?
Yeah.
No. Thank you.
I don't know if this has been asked, but what's the frequency of these trips and how many people on the average are taking advantage of this service?
So the
Is-
service is offered the first and third Fridays of the month.
Third
And
Thursday.
Thursdays, sorry, yes, Thursdays. And I believe most recent ridership, there is between 1 and 2 riders every trip. Sometimes there are none and sometimes there are more than that, but probably an average is 2 riders per trip.
And that stretches between about 6 different people. They don't ride every time. So right now we are currently helping and assisting about 6 residents or Valley community members. And the way Jenny was just reminding me, so Ubers and those do not require extra additional insurance. So I don't know that there's extra or additional, and so. And they're independent,
But
they're independent contractors, and this is a higher, so I understand the concern of the liability. So, and we will definitely get that straightened out.
A monthly staff update. Questions?
No.
the comprehensive plan, we're wanting to kind of revisit that.
Yes.
Because I know we had set up initial kind of quasi committees,
Yep.
and so we need to reorganize.
We do. So we kind of put a pause on it until the new board was set. They are ready to gear up, and so Trustee Winkleblack will be returning in July. So if you guys would be good with that, we could set that up to start that process. We could ask them to come in, introduce themselves to this board, and explain the process that we will be going through for community input and explain the process.
And what they've already done so far.
Yeah, that works for
Yes.
me. July 16th is what you were proposing.
Yep. And then the other thing not on there is we had talked about getting a quote for updated technology in this room for board meetings. And we did get a quote. I'm not asking for approval tonight, but we just got it. And so I thought I'd just let you know. New equipment, room audio, 9 microphones, 360-degree camera, audio interfacing with push-to-talk mic, mixer, streaming interface to connect audio and video to computer system, labor, and 2 hours of training. And their quote right now is for $10,495. So we can look, they are the company that is on the western slope that does this. We can look into some others. So just so you're aware, new technology is pricey.
The other question that I have is, I understand that there'll be some road improvements made over subdivision. Used to be, I don't know if it's still called the Deanscott subdivision or but some of that. What's that thing?
So that is Cedar Crest Lane, and the county is working on their portion of it. They have to work on their drainage, and their drainage goes under 58.5. And so they're working on theirs before we can go in and resurface and work on our road. We did do the drainage, so that drainage is better handled, but the county has got to do their work. And so they're getting us on there.
And Mike is working with the county.
Uh-huh.
All that.
Yep.
That's one thing I would like to see if possible. I would like to see Mike come in and give us an update or a report on things that he sees that taking care of the roads, sewer, and gutter.
Yep. We can do that. We usually do it about once a quarter. Bring your department heads in, bring staff in for you guys to talk to. So that won't be any.
All that I can think of at this point.
Melanie, I had a question on, the first thing was the water line committee, June 12th, we have a time and a place.
5 p.m. at the school.
Cool.
Yeah, and that is a working group. We will have our engineers, their engineer, the planner.
Where does our feasibility study stand?
The capacity study, it is not complete yet. They're working.
Trust the informational and or items for future agenda.
I have been looking at minutes and we are the only one that does not have staff listed on the staff present. I don't see that on anyone else's minutes. On any other power. Can we get our staff present listed? Is there any way? In their job title? That would be awesome. Sure.
Are you talking about the minutes or about the agenda?
The minutes.
Or just like in attendance.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. If you guys all want that.
Isn't that at the very beginning of the minute?
No.
So
No, it doesn't. At this point in time, we do just the board members that are present.
okay, okay.
If you guys want to, we can.
I
Yes.
don't have any objection to that.
Oh,
5 o'clock.
and you would like staff and titles, staff names and titles? Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Okay. Public correspondence? Well, I'll entertain the motion for adjournment.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Motion second. We have a roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Trustee Benz,
Yes.
Trustee Evans,
Yes.
Trustee Winkleblack,
Yes.
Trustee Price? Yes. Mayor Wilcox?
Yes.
Motion passed, meeting adjourned. Thank you, folks. Yay.
Thank you.
I am leaving the recording on until the lobby is empty. Take Mike. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank No, it's not like that. When I worked with, I had my own window over there. It's like 4 different microphone options between Owl, Owlvia, and this, and I think. Yeah. Yeah. When we have a lot of background noise, that's when it. Yeah. They're so sensitive. There's peanut gallery. There's a peanut gallery. Thank you. I don't know. I just put them out. I just put it. It's okay. When I wrote the whole thing, right? Exactly. Moment.